Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is Michelle, and who's here with me?
It's JD.
It's JD. It's always JD. It's always Michelle.
I think going forward, Michelle, honestly, for the rest of my life, I'm going to always introduce myself with that little warble at the end of when I say my name. You know, that it's JD. I mean, hi, what's your name?
I do
JD.
love that. Yep. And tell people they have to
real
pronounce
weird.
it that way. It's going to get so weird. But I am always pro-weird.
Absolutely.
Max weird.
Hi,
Max
if you've
weird.
never listened to an episode before, happy to have you here. If you've listened to several episodes before, happy to have you back.
If you listened to my ramblings before and you tuned in a second time, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Seek help, but also thank you.
I don't think anything's wrong with them. I think they are wise individuals who are making fantastic decisions in their lives.
I prefer to berate our audience. I'm not going to kink shame. Some of them are into it. You know that.
Michelle, I don't think you like to berate your audience. I think you like to indirectly deprecate yourself.
Both. Porque no los dos. Yeah.
Okay. Porque no los dos?
Well, speaking of películas, Spanish for movies, I'm learning Duolingo. Thank you, the terrifying owl.
Two lingos. That's what Duolingo means.
Duolingo. I don't know the word for cab, so I can't say the name of this movie in Spanish. But we watched Black Cab.
Taxi.
Is it actually Taxi?
I'm pretty sure in Spanish it's also taxi, but I may be wrong.
So it'd just be like Taxi Negro?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm going to find out while you talk.
I believe you. Autobus. Well,
Autobus.
we watch Shudder here, and today we got to watch some Shudder. There is a Shudder original that dropped called Black Cab, and so we watched it, and we're here to talk to you guys about it and each other. JD's delighted.
Correct.
Is it Taxi?
I am correct. It is Taxi. Yes.
Taxi Negro. Beautiful. Okay. Well, JD, would you like to give the descripty script of this fine movie?
This is a movie. Look, here's what happened, guys, is all of the description options we have from IMDb and Shudder are kind of terrible. They spoil too much, at least according to Michelle and my perspective on spoilers. So I'm just going to try and wing it here. There's a couple, and they're having a rough night, and they get in a cab, and the knife just gets rougher. Black Cab, a Shudder original.
Beautiful. That sums it up. We should write IMDb descriptions.
We should.
Very
IMDb,
mysterious.
There's a couple, and they get in a cab, and they're having a rough night, and it just gets rougher.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah, I should write these.
You should send an email to them.
I should. I'd be like, look, guys,
tell them to fire
cheap.
their person.
Yeah, I think so. I think fire their person. Absolutely.
It's kind of like when a local comedian went to an open mic that I used to host regularly, the longest running open mic in Fargo Moorhead, actually, for a while. And that comedian tried to convince them that he should take over my job. And he was one of the people who walked the room every single week. So that was fun. And then he brought a gun one day and just told everybody about it and got banned for a month. Fargo comedy is a weird
scene. Is that who
scene.
I think it was?
It probably is.
Same guy who brought the banana that one time, or all them times?
No, not Banana Guy. Comedy
not?
is wild. It is a wild time. Well,
we're gonna
what
have
else
to talk
is
about...
wild?
What else is wild,
Black
Michelle?
Black Cab.
Black Cab.
Do you want to tell us your spoiler-free thoughts, JD?
Yeah, I do, Michelle, and I know this is going to come as a big surprise to you. I actually wanted to do this up front, and then we got carried away with the introduction. Before we start talking about this movie, I gotta just say to everybody, look, everybody knows, if you've been listening long enough, where Michelle and I stand on social issues and what people want to call political issues that aren't political issues at all. And some real rough shit happened to a bunch of us this week. And the next 4 years are going to be real fucking interesting. And I just want to tell everybody we love you, and just fucking buckle up and hold on, and we'll all get through this shit together. So, and if you think that's a silly thing to say, and you don't have a problem with the way things went a few days ago, I don't speak for Michelle, but for myself, you can fuck right off. I don't care. Okay, now let's talk about a happy movie. Well, it's not a happy movie at all.
I do have to respond. First off, I voted for Trump. I'm kidding. I'm so kidding. I'm so kidding.
Michelle.
I know.
Michelle?
It felt gross saying it.
Here's
Here's what I will say. I hope that everything goes really well, and that the economy gets back on track. Hang on, let me finish. And that I wind up getting huge tax cuts, and I get a lot of money so that I can put that money back into activism. I'm a white woman. Let me benefit from the new system and then help the others out. Or else, let's just hope that nothing in Project 2025 comes to fruition, because we need educated young folks. And why the fuck would you disband the Department of Education? Anyway.
Well, we could talk all night about the reason they want to do that is to keep people stupid so they can keep buffaloing them into all this nonsense they've been buffalo. Anyway, we don't need to go there. We've said what we needed to say.
Well, you did.
I did. Yeah, that's the way. Michelle, I don't know how I'm going to... I have spent a good portion of my life occasionally being snarky, but by and large managing to not... Like, I've never been in a scuffle in public with like a random stranger. I've never been in a tussle with people I know, right? But I was hosting trivia at a local establishment tonight, and I was overhearing people talking about how things went, and overhearing things that were very pro-Trump, and I had to fight myself all night long to just not butt myself in and tell these people how fucking dumb I thought they were. And now one of my big primary anxieties is I'm gonna say the wrong thing to the wrong person, and I'm gonna get hurt. I'm gonna get punched or something, but it'll be worth it anyway.
To be fair, you've always had that possibility, because you've always been kind of a charming asshole.
Well, yeah, but this is the first time I have genuinely felt that possibility was significant.
Oh, really? Because whenever we hang out in public, I'm like, there's definitely a 50-50 chance that JD's going to get punched in the face. If I go to... You're the person who, if you go to a movie with you will yell at the people who are talking during it. Like,
I will.
Exactly. So there's always a chance. It's brave. I can't do it.
Do whatever the hell you want, even while the trailers are rolling. I don't care. Do whatever the hell you want. As soon as the lights drop and Greg Marcus says his shit and he's off the screen and the title cards are coming up, shut your fucking mouth.
But I have to say all my witty banter.
That was almost more aggressive than the things I said about Trump right now.
I absolutely thought it was. Christ. And watching you, I could tell you were even angrier about people who talk during movies. And I 100% agree with that sentiment.
Michelle, and again, it started before then, but a lot of that stuff is obviously amplifying it. I love how we just segued into the therapy portion before we even touched our spoiler-free thoughts. That's great. But,
I was very surprised by it. It was like a cab veering off into the woods when you think you're going home.
Oh, yeah, but I see what you did there. Don't think I didn't notice. But
I knew you noticed. You just don't care.
I was about to say something now, and I don't even remember what it is. But
oh no.
It's anyway. It doesn't matter. We don't need to keep talking about that nonsense. Let's talk about this movie, Michelle. You asked me for my spoiler-free thoughts. Are you still interested, or should we just move to yours?
I feel like I got some thoughts. They technically did not spoil the movie, so you may have delivered, but I do need a rating at the end of all of it.
I don't even remember if I gave any. Okay, so honestly...
You definitely did not. It's a joke because you gave me thoughts, but they were unrelated to the movie, so they were spoiler-free.
I am, man, For a guy who claims to have a strong interest in and skill for comedy, I am really bad in recognizing when other people are doing it. Holy shit.
I have a very dry sense of humor and am very good at not giving any indication that I'm joking.
That sentence ended with sense of humor.
I have a very dry
My brain is a mess right now, Michelle. It's so messy in there. Let's talk about
real sandpapery sense of humor.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Real abrasive. It's like the Sahara Desert, my sense of humor. The Great Dunes is what I call it.
Oh my God. Oh, I needed a laugh like that. Okay, we're going to talk. Here's what I have to say about Black Cab. There is a lot that I really liked about this movie. Nick Frost is fucking fantastic in this movie. The rest of the cast, really solid. You know me, Michelle. I love small cast, really intimate types of movies, and I don't think I'm spoiling too much by saying that. There are things about the story that I didn't care for so much. A lot of the stuff that happens in the third act, once it's kind of a reveal, but it's also kind of only half a reveal. But once that happens, the story itself kind of loses me. And it's a beautifully made film. I didn't catch what the name of the guy who photographed this is. But goddamn, they have some fantastic photography in here. Really well-made film. Just had some things going on in the story that I didn't necessarily entirely understand or that just didn't really appeal for me. But overall, I had a good time with this. It's something that I would definitely watch again, especially, like I said, for Nick Frost as the lead, as the cab driver in this film. I'm going 3.75.
3.75 from Jeremiah D. Provorce.
Wow.
The D stands for Democrat.
Michelle, did you just name dox me here for all of the Trumpers to come find me?
Oh shit, I didn't even think about that. I'm just like,
no, but
it's the third time.
It's Jeremiah Daniel, by the way. I was born September 2nd, 1980. I live at 1315 3rd Street, East Apartment 101 in West Fargo, North Dakota. Come fucking find me.
They're going to come knock on your door, and your mom's going to answer, and she's going to fuck them up.
So
she's
the
scrappy.
secret police
I can
are gonna
tell.
come take me away anyway. Oh, mom will fuck them up. Riley will fuck them up, too. That
dog.
That dog
will bite a dick off. Bite a dick right off.
Right off. Michelle, tell me your spoiler-free thoughts.
Okay.
Michelle?
Yeah. Spoiler-free thoughts.
Please.
I really liked the first half hour of this. It lost me after that, unfortunately. I think Nick Frost is fantastic throughout the entire thing, and I agree with you that there are some incredible shots that are done, but this felt like two separate movies that were jammed together and didn't quite mesh, and I would have preferred if they picked one of those directions that I think was much stronger than the other one and just gone with it. I also had, spoiler-free way of saying this would be, I had a hard time understanding how I was supposed to feel about some of the characters at some times.
Yes.
I
know exactly what you mean. Yep.
Yeah. So overall, unfortunately, I didn't like this. And that's a real bummer because I do like Nick Frost and I think he gives a great performance. But this felt like a much shorter movie that was drawn out way too much. And it didn't have enough to justify the runtime. So I'm actually going to go with a 2 out of 5 human skulls.
2 from Michelle, 3.75 for me. That is a... Oh, Jesus, this one's going to be 2.825?
875.
875, damn it.
Now we are back to the therapy portion where JD gets upset that he didn't math.
I never claimed to be Goodwill Hunting, okay? I'm not operating on that level. I know how to convert base 248 fractions into base 2 fractions.
You know what I just learned?
Into decimals really easily.
Speaking of Good Will Hunting, it popped up on movies when I was browsing the catalog earlier today, and the guy's name is Will Hunting.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I've never seen that movie, and so Good Will Hunting.
Oh my God, Michelle.
Yeah, I know. Should I watch it? Is it a pretty good movie or something?
Yeah. Like, I realize I joke about this sort of thing a lot, but holy shit, yes. Fucking A, Michelle, please see that movie. I understand you got a lot. I'm just saying, as soon as you can, make it a priority.
Here's the thing.
Shit, it's
I am
so
a
good.
Gigantic Robin Williams fan, and watching it post-mortem is partially why I haven't, because I just cry when that man does anything. He has a movie called World's Greatest Dad that makes me bawl. It's a dark comedy, but watching it after he has committed suicide is too intense. And then I also watched What Dreams May Come after he died, where a whole thing is that if you commit suicide, like, you don't get to go to heaven or whatever, afterlife exists in that. And his stuff hits a little too hard now, but I guess maybe I'll watch it. I do think Matt Damon's a little hottie, so I'll just watch it for that and try to forget the rest.
There are two things I can tell you about this that are, again, they're not spoilery enough, especially for a 20-odd-year-old movie. But I will tell you two things. First of all, I hate to break it to you, Robin Williams is going to make you fucking cry in this movie. He made me, but it's not going to be like that sad people dying cry. But it's very emotional, and he is so fucking great in that movie and in that role. Michelle, I saw that movie in theaters when it first came out. I've seen it on video. It's one of... I don't talk about it as much as I should. For some reason, it gets lost in the shuffle among other things. But that is a movie, that's one of those where if I'm flipping channels just looking for something, if it just pops up, I will sit down and watch that movie. It's in that category of like when you just want something familiar, you're not necessarily looking to focus directly, you just want to get lost in something comfortable. God, I fucking love that movie. It's so good. But the other thing that I can guarantee you, like I said, is you at least don't have to worry about... there's not a lot of specifically death-related stuff. It's heavy in a different way.
Okay, I guess maybe I will watch this movie that's gonna make me cry, as though... I mean, every movie technically has the ability to make me cry. I cry a lot. Cry.
So do I.
I cry so much.
Soft boy.
I am also a big soft boy. I am a big soft boy in a short girl's body.
You're also big book nerd Bertha.
Big book nerd Bertha. More to come on that news front. I need to talk to some people. Yeah, we'll talk about it. All right. Okay,
we should probably talk
18
about
minutes
this
in.
movie now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
We at least got our spoiler freeze in.
We did. Good job, us.
All right, so if you do want to get a chance to see the film before we talk about it in spoilery detail, this is where you're going to want to stop listening. Please make sure you come back after you're done and see what we've got to say. And this is the part, my favorite part of every episode, as I love to remind everyone every week. This is where Michelle is going to take a moment for those of you who maybe haven't seen the movie but really aren't, you don't give a shit about movies. You're just here for the brilliant comedic rapport and banter between Michelle and I. And God, I understand. We are so fucking funny.
We are. My favorite part of our show is when you don't get my jokes. That's my favorite part.
I'm terrible at braggadocio. Michelle, please summarize, dissect the plot of Black Cab for these good people.
Will do. Now that we are in spoiler territory, I can tell you, yes, there is a black taxi cab in this movie. Don't worry. Don't worry, it's not a red herring. There actually is one. So there's a lady, and she's dating a real douchebag, and that's very apparent. Just like looking at his face, you can tell he's a douchebag. Like, he has such a punchable face, and I just feel bad for the actor because I feel like that face is something that he can't get away with. He's just like, every time he goes someplace, they're just people like, I don't know why, but I want to punch that guy in the face. Yes, JD.
Just a quick comment on that. I understand exactly what you mean, but it's a give and take thing, right? As long as he's able to keep a good attitude about it, it's two things. He's only ever going to play that very punchable face character, but everybody is going to want him to play their very punchable face character. He will have a strong career if he's able to just accept that he's got that going for him.
Even better, he can make money on the side.
Punchable. Oh my God.
Yeah, he can make money on the side by just letting people actually punch him in the face. And he probably would make more than he would as an actor. Just like somebody's like, you have just a punchable face. I will pay for your meal if I can punch you in the face.
I don't want to derail us already before we've even finished the plot summary, but I was just thinking, you said that he could make some extra money just letting people punch him in the face, and now I'm thinking about, like, what if there was a business where it's like one of those rage rooms where you go in and just smash shit and get your rage out, but it's somebody who's like, maybe they're in like a self-defense suit or something, so you're not actually getting hurt, but there's like a real person in there, and you can go in and just beat the fuck out of a person for a while. I might be onto something here, Michelle. Copyright. That's
we gotta talk to Boston
plan.
Dynamics. They need to stop making military dogs and start making human-like robots that we can punch in the face.
Yes!
They gotta get on that shit. You're onto something.
That might be one of the more therapeutic things. Look, I'm gonna tell you, they're starting to, that's dark territory, creating human simulacrums that we can beat the fuck out of. Jesus.
And yet I'm board with it.
There's a short film I saw at Chicago Horror Film Festival that deals with that exact idea. And as I understand it, there's a movie coming out that's gotten a lot of heat on the festival circuit called Black-Eyed Susan that plays in that same kind of territory that I am very nervous to see, but very excited to see. Anyway, I've derailed everything. We got as far as a boyfriend with a guy very punchable face. Please
it's
continue.
okay. Your derailing gave me an opportunity to take a picture of my cat because he's looking very cute. He's just as flat as he possibly can be. And it's adorable. I will post a picture on the social medias because people love seeing the pets. Yes, JD.
I do also just want to point out, because I'm proud of myself, that I'm really trying hard not to interrupt and raise my hand to let you complete thoughts.
Thank you very much. That does let me finish my sentence. I know. It's good. I definitely prefer this.
I'm in such a weird fucking headspace, Michelle. Oh my God, please continue.
You are always in a weird headspace. That's what happens when you have the heads we do.
But this one feels different, Michelle. It feels different.
You do have a body bag right beside you, so that could be adding to the vibes. I have weird vibes check.
As some of you may have seen on Facebook and Instagram, as I put it, some people have an inflatable sex doll. I have an inflatable emotional support corpse in a bag.
If it's your first time tuning in and you checked this out because you were like, hey, I can't wait to learn more about the movie Black Cab starring Nick Frost, you came to the wrong show, mofo. I'm so sorry. This is who we are.
All I'm saying is there are people in the world no, I'm not going to complete this thought.
I have no idea where we're going with this, but I'm actually probably happy about that. Okay, let's get back to the plot summary.
Do you really want me to finish it? Okay, I'll finish it. Where we were going with this is, which would you rather? Somebody fucking inflatable corpse in a bag or a real corpse in a bag?
Oh, I hadn't even thought about you fucking the body bag that I can see on webcam, and now I'm going to be thinking about that all the time.
Didn't you see the post where I said my life is like a G-rated necromantic? I'm not talking. It was just a different thought I had. I thought it was just this spooning. Moment, Michelle.
I didn't realize there was penetration. Okay. Well,
I'm not. Oh, Jesus! Now I've made people think that I fucked the inflatable corpse in a bag. It's okay. Go ahead. I don't care what they think of me. I know what the truth is.
Okay. Well, Black Cab. It's a movie.
So
There's a
this
guy
with the punchable face.
Very punchable face. He's got a girlfriend with not much of a personality, and that's kind of a bummer. And then there's a black cab, and it shows up, and who gets out of the black cab? Whoa, our friend Aaron Thompson. No, wait, never mind. It's Nick Frost. Oh, man, it's so easy to get those two confused. Seriously, they look identical. Maybe I'll get Aaron's picture to post permission to post a picture, because JD realized this for the first time. I've known Aaron for 16 years, and it's very hard to watch Nick Frost movies and not think of him.
I've known Aaron for quite some time too, but for a lot of those years, at least for the first while, it was very sort of like we didn't run in a lot of heavy circles. We were just kind of adjacent and would cross paths, more than, average. And so I knew him kind of all right. But I think it's just a matter of, in the time that I was really getting to know him, like when we worked together for a while and got a little bit to know him even more, I hadn't seen a lot of Nick Frost in a while, right? And most of the thing with Nick Frost that stands out the most to me is Shaun of the Dead, where he didn't have a full beard, right? But there's one shot in particular here where he's in the cab and he turns to look out and it's like a close-up through the windshield, and he smiles just a little bit while he's saying a line, and I literally shouted in my room, "Holy shit, it's Aaron!" And it just kind of, I don't know how I never put it together, because once I saw it, I was like, holy shit, how have I never seen this?
What I don't know is how you managed to spend a whole minute explaining how Nick Frost looks like Aaron Thompson. That's
I'm trying to
long-winded.
explain how I had never noticed it before, Michelle.
I don't think anybody cares except Aaron.
Literally the last thing you said before I started was, I have no idea how you never noticed it before.
Okay, I'm sorry for giving you permission to speak. It'll never happen again. Okay. So now we've established 4 things in this movie. Nick Frost looks like Aaron. There's a punchable guy. There's a lady who's very sad. And there's a black cab. Okay, we've set the stage. That is where the majority of this movie takes place, is in a black cab, hence the name. So there's a lady. She gets into a cab. And then her punchable boyfriend shows up too. And he's like, "Hey, I'm a douchebag. We're not going to go home. We're just going to drive around for a bit." And Nick Frost is like, "Hey, guy, did you know that you have a very punchable face?" And he's like, "Yeah, I get that a lot. Why don't you just drive around, cabbie?" And then Nick Frost is like, "Whoa, dude. Okay, fine." So then they're just driving aimlessly, because only douchebags would do that, Like, normally people get in a car and they have a designation in mind, especially the fact that he had a designation in mind, but instead he just wants to hang out with Nick Frost for a while, which I get it. I would also like to chill with Nick Frost for a while, but maybe not when he's being forced to drive a cab. No, JD, I'm not calling on you. We are getting through this story. Put your hand down. So then I'm going to get you a notebook so you can just write things down. That's what I do. So they're just driving around, and then douchebag, he's being a real douchebag. I don't remember his name, and IMDb does not say the character name, so fuck
Patrick.
Okay, Patrick. Oh, God, that's such a punchable name. Okay, so wait, do I have any friends named Patrick? If your name is Patrick, you're cool. You're totally fine. This guy's a douchebag, and he represents your kind very poorly. So then Nick Frost, he's like, "Hey, lady, did you know that your boyfriend's kind of a dick? Do you want me to just drop him off on the side of the road?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, Nick Frost. Let her fight her own battles. But if she seems like she's uncomfortable and kind of scared, then you're allowed to step in, and hell yeah, that's a good move." And then she's like, "No, he's fine." And I'm like, "Girl, you deserve better, and I'm very mad at you." But then they're just driving around, and then Nick Frost is like, "Hey, lady, aren't you pregnant?" And she's like, "I didn't know people were supposed to talk about that. That's a violation of HIPAA." And then Nick Frost is like, "I'm not a doctor, and we do not live in America, so HIPAA does not apply." And then she's like, "Whoa, I didn't know you were well-versed in the American medical care system. That's really weird." And then Nick Frost is like, "The medical care system in America is fucked and probably going to get worse in recent times." So then they are just having a discussion that has nothing to do with anything else. It's very weird and out of character. And then Nick Frost is like, "You know what I feel about the American healthcare system?" And then he just fucking tases Patrick. And then he zip ties the lady to the cab, and then he's driving her around someplace, and then he's like, I have to go make a phone call on an actual hardwired phone, and they're like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, I'm gonna go find a rotary phone. So he goes to look for a rotary phone, or like a cup with a string. I don't know. He's very old fashioned. And then he drives around for a while, and we're learning that he has a wife and he has a kid and he has an anger problem, as we can tell from the fact that he fucking tasered Patrick. And then they get to an abandoned road, and then they're learning about a ghost lady who's on the abandoned road. And that was all foreshadowed by Patrick telling the story about a different ghost lady at the beginning of the movie. And that actually took place in America. Holy shit, this entire movie is an allegory for the American healthcare system. I have figured out the hidden message. I'm so smart. And then they show up on a road, and the girl's like, I gotta pee. And he's like, I'm gonna zip tie your right arm here, and now you can pee. And like, man, that's like the most stressful thing that happens in this movie, because I don't know how she would finagle her way over that bedpan, but like, that's way too high up. I urine would get everywhere, and I don't like that concept. So then she takes off her underwear and she leaves in the road, probably as a signal to other people of where she went, but also maybe a kink thing. I don't know. I'm not here to shame. And then Nick Frost comes back and he finds her underwear, and he's like, I have a kink thing about finding dirty underwear. I'm not calling on you, JD. And then they get back in the cab, and then he drives them to a very creepy home, and then he lets them walk around the home for a while, and then they try to escape, and then he tasers her some real good times, and then she's like, oh, I can feel the baby kicking, please don't kill me, yada yada yada. Baby shit happens, but then baby shit doesn't happen, because it turns out she lost the baby. Oh no, a twist. And Nick Frost's whole plan was that he has a son, and he was gonna offer this lady's unborn baby to this ghost lady, so that the ghost lady would leave his own son alone, because the lady is telling him to kill his son, and he needs to give her his, because that lady lost a baby and now she wants his baby, but he's gonna give a different baby. And I don't know where the ghost lady ever signed off on just having a newborn. It's very clearly like a difference in age, and like the son is probably more manageable. He's out of like the really cranky newborn stage. Why would she want a brand new baby? That's the worst. That's like getting a puppy where they're really cute and then they're really fucking annoying and they shit all over the place. Don't do it. Actually, get a puppy, adopt, don't shop. So then they go out on this road, and this lady is no longer pregnant, and then she's like, you're right, this ghost lady is a bitch. She also took my baby, which, like, what? And then she runs off into the woods, I guess. And then Nick Frost, he's like, whoa, everything's fine, I guess. And he drives his cab, and then he hits the lady who is no longer pregnant, but then she's not there because he probably hit her ghost. And then he drives away, and now she's like sitting in the cab with him because she has now become the ghost of the road. And it's very convoluted, but it is a black cab. Okay, JD, what are all 17 of your comments that you had to make?
There were only going to be 2, and I forgot the first one, but the second was their underwear were on the ground because the ghost scared her panties off.
Wow, I'm so glad you have reaffirmed that I made the right choice in not letting you make that comment. You've been dying over there. You are so red. Okay, I'm going to give you a moment to contain yourself.
I don't know why that was so goddamn funny to me, but it scared her panties off.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Hate when that happens. Makes Halloween really difficult.
Here's what I think about the American healthcare system.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Here is one of my main problems with this movie that I kind of went into a little bit, is that I really like Nick Frost, and then this movie starts and he has like a threatening aura to him, but then like one of the first things we learn about him is that he's trying to defend this lady. So I'm like, fuck yeah, Nick Frost is a good guy. And then he immediately is not a good guy. But I was so, like, with our first interaction being him, like, singing in the car and, like, telling this guy that he's a dickhead, like, all of that is, like, the first glimpse. So when he tased Patrick, I thought it was going to turn out that he was somehow helping her and he was going to, like, kill the boyfriend and try to be, like, a savior. I didn't realize he was, like, just genuinely crazy and evil. And it took me a little bit to actually get on board with that. And that's kind of unfortunate. And then when he does go full evil, I'm just like, oh, but it's Nick Frost. He could kill me, and I would be like, thank you, sir. I love Nick Frost. It's very hard to make him crazy and unlikable.
I don't know about that. I think he did a fantastic job of making himself crazy and unlikable in this. He was just swinging for the fences and hitting it all the time. I was riveted by his performance here. And I think I'm picking up, I think a lot of the things that I mentioned where there were some things in the plot that were it kind of lost me a bit are probably a lot of the same things that lost you, just maybe not to the same degree because there were other elements that kept me tied in. But I will say that the more this shifted and became a ghost story and not just a what the fuck is this psychopath in this black cab gonna do to these people movie, that is where it started to slip away for me.
Yep.
Not even just because it was a ghost story, and I've been very upfront all the time about how standard ghost story type things like this are not one of my favorite flavors. There are some that I really do enjoy, but they're not necessarily my biggest thing. I thought this did some really interesting... First of all, the ghost effect, where they've got basically like two parts of the person moving back and forth away from each other. I thought that was the way it presented itself was really well done. But so I guess let me bring it all to this. Do you or did you at any point get the impression that all of this stuff about the ghost was not really happening?
Yes.
Like an unreliable narrator kind of thing. Like we're experiencing the whole thing from the perspective of Ian.
Yeah, but they make that a little bit confusing because she also claims to see the ghost. So then, because they're both claiming it, then it's like, okay, so the ghost is real?
Yeah. Well, and you see, that is the thing that I was, because I spent a decent amount of time thinking about this immediately. In fact, during the movie, especially in that last 20 minutes or so while things are playing out. And that's one of the things I thought is maybe not, but I started to think, oh, maybe none of this is actually happening. And then I thought about that whole thing with the ghost, and how Anne saw the ghost in the back seat when the car first pulled up. And that's definitely the one thing. But the things that are pushing me in that direction are the big one for me was right at the end, where he at least appears to hit Anne with his cab, and then he gets out to see, and there's no body there, and then when he gets back in the car, she's a ghost now in the back seat of his car. First of all, we never, like, if she wasn't real and that him hitting her with the car didn't really happen, if he was like, if she was a ghost at that point, if he hit her ghost, when did she die?
In the woods after running out of his cab, is what I think.
But well, so that's my thing. Is we never see her die, right? Yes. And you know how I feel about that. And especially in a horror movie or a thriller like that, they let us watch him Stanley knife Patrick's throat. Right?
Thank God.
He has a very very sliceable throat.
Oh no.
But so anytime they don't show us, and then I thought, okay, maybe what killed her is he did hit her with his car and she died there, and then she immediately became a ghost in his car. But then where was the corpse? Right? Where was the body? And that's when I started to think, and then I started thinking, yeah, but then they also talk about the ghost, right? And he's like, oh, you've seen it. But I don't know for sure, and I'm going to need to go back and check this, but I think that whole everything in which they both acknowledge the existence of the ghost is after she drinks the water that's laced with the drugs and comes back conscious. I think. I don't know for sure. And the reason I think that's important, because if everything that happens after she comes back, or if all of the interactions about the ghost happen after she comes back from that unconsciousness, then it's possible that there's actually a separation there, and everything we get from that point forward is just Ian's delusion, right? But then the thing that gets me away from that is, like, she does see the ghost in the back of the cab before they ever actually meet, before they ever get in a car. So I don't know, and that's part of what got me here, is I don't know exactly what's real and what's not. And I've talked about this before. I don't mind when you build that mystery, and I don't mind if it's never resolved for the inside for the people in the movie. But for my personal taste, I need a little more. And so that definitely left me a little... I wish they had been more clear. And I think you had mentioned that you felt like this was two different movies on top of each other. And I don't know, do you think that's kind of what you were getting at, is these two bits of movie don't seem to layer over top of each other really well?
Basically, the supernatural stuff
Yeah.
doesn't fit, even though it is the main part of the movie. What I preferred was Nick Frost just being a crazy guy who kidnapped these people, and his interaction and talking to her throughout. All of that was way more interesting. I didn't like the ghost effects. I think it's one of those where, again, they show us too much, and it takes away all of the fear and anxiety I have about that thing, unfortunately. But that's where it felt like two separate movies, was just Nick Frost being a crazy kidnapper versus there's a ghost lady who wants your baby. And the more that they did on the ghost stuff, it doesn't feel like it's ambiguous on purpose. It feels like they are missing something significant, and that it's not well written, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Oh no, your audio
What?
got really bad.
Oh, let me fix it real quick. I had to plug in my my spare headphones. So give me just a second here. What were we talking about, Michelle, when I
Two
suddenly
completely
had to
separate-
check my microphones?
Two completely separate movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree. I felt like the ghost thing, I wish this would have been a little bit more one or the other. I appreciate what they were trying to do with that, and I feel like a lot of that is also what led me to a certain extent to wonder how much of this is reliable and how much of it isn't. I got an impression at one point that he's not divorced, and I thought for a minute that he had murdered his wife and child, and
Same.
this whole thing was his separation from reality after murdering his wife and child. And that whole thing about the ghost was just like his psychotic rationalization of what was going on. But
That's definitely what I thought too, but I am going to give them credit for not going in that direction because it is very played out. So even though I'm confused by what they actually did, I totally thought it was going to be like a typical, oh yeah, he killed his wife and kid, and that's why she's not answering the phone. Because she's actually dead and he doesn't remember that. And we've seen that several times. So
well,
I'm
and
glad
they do that whole
didn't
thing.
do that.
They do that whole thing where they show the ghost lady beside the child's crib, and then they show him beside the child's crib in the exact same position, and there's some weird editing at that moment where it seems like, at least if I remember correctly, maybe I'm just filling in blanks because I started thinking about it, but it seemed like they were shifting back and forth between him beside the crib and her beside the crib. And that's,
I also
again,
think that's
where
what
it's,
happened.
yeah, it started to feel to me like maybe that's what's going on here. And so, yeah, that lack of clarity about what entirely was going on definitely was one of those things that also brought me down on it. I think I was just so impressed, again, by Nick Frost, but also by the production of this film. Let's talk about that for a while. This movie is visually fucking rad. Are there any specific things that you remember that stick out for you as personal favorites in this, Michelle?
This is partially just because I love winter so much. But when they are stopped on the side of the road, when he zip ties her because she says that she has to go potty.
Just a loo. I've got a loo.
She has to loo. And he goes and sits off and lets her have some privacy. I don't know why, but all of that sequence is very visually striking. And I do think maybe it's just because I love cold weather, and that felt like a crisp, very isolated night, and I felt that scene in particular. So that one really struck me, and I love just all the shots, like when he's sitting and we're close up on him and we see her in the background. Just all of that really emphasized how alone she is in this situation, and is probably one of my favorite scenes for some odd reason. The other one is when Nick Frost is threatening to drop the boyfriend on the side of the road. That's pretty good too. Nothing visually. I just think he should have punched him in the face.
And now that I think about it, asking you this question reminds me of a thing that I saw, and this again happens well before, like, she starts seeing the ghost on her own well before she ever even meets Ian. So yeah, I don't see how this could be, how the ghost couldn't be at least partially real, or what, I don't know. But because what I was thinking of is there's a shot where she's like in the bathroom looking at herself in the mirror, and then I don't know if it's a shower door or what, but there's another door off to the side or some kind of a panel, and it has a slightly reflective sheen on it, and it's this shot where the ghost is in that fucking, like, you can see the ghost there, right? But when I first saw it, the way it's presented just made me for the longest time think that it was just a vague reflection of her in that part of the room, and then it just slowly dawned on me while I looked at that shot. I was like, oh fuck, wait, that can't possibly, the way she's standing, be her. I thought that was great. There are moments I love guys who fucking do shit with the background, because I'm one of those people who's always scanning images, right? It's part of why I'm anxious in a cluttered room, is because I'm constantly looking for what the fuck is going on in every inch of space. And there are moments in this where I am 100% certain they were layering that ghost in there just very subtly in a lot of places. And I really appreciated that. So far as the style of it, I also really enjoyed the way they used tilt shift photography. Are you familiar with tilt shift?
I am indeed. It's where things look kind of tiny.
Yeah, well, and also, like, it also creates that interesting focus experience, right? Where there's a small part of the image that is just like razor focused, and then it very quickly bleeds out into just very fuzzy focus, and they did some great things with that. It's an awesome combination of a bottle movie, which is another thing that I've mentioned many times that when it works, I really love. So you've got the bottle movie elements of just Ian and Anne and mostly unconscious Patrick in the car, which definitely is an incredible technique if you're working on a small budget, because you can get a lot done there if your actors are really fucking good, and they were. But then when they do go to those exteriors like you were talking about, like, they are, like, it feels real and it feels very isolating. Like, they did an incredible job of building an atmosphere of, like, oh shit. They do it progressively with the few stops. They do a really good job of just more and more, just taking away more elements of civilization. And I think, as taken as I was by how well this was made, is a big part of why those other things didn't trouble me so much. Which is interesting, because you and I both talked about Smile 2 recently, and I had a similar reaction in that, but my score wasn't so much. And you know why the entire difference? This one is only 87 minutes long.
That's all it takes.
Hey, Smile 2 has some great stuff in it, guys. I'm not going to say don't go see it. Michelle mentioned in our Michelle in review
movie.
Yeah, it's
of the year.
there are things about the story again that didn't quite work for me, but holy shit, there is some good horror show in that. Some fantastic gore and squelching, some really well-earned scare moments and startles, nothing that ever felt just completely cheap and manipulative. So there's a little quick side bonus review for you. Definitely check out Smile 2. It's real good. Plus, Kyle Gallner is in part of it because he was in the first one, and I fucking love Kyle Gallner.
I'm excited for it to hit streaming so that we can talk about it in its own episode because I have so much to say and none of it will be said right now.
Yeah, I tried to get Michelle to do a theatrical drop episode, and she, in her wise ways, said, "Yo, let's wait till it drops on streaming so more people have an easier chance to see it." Which completely contradicts the whole thing from earlier in the episode where she's just like, no, I just want to shit on our audience as much as I possibly can. I think people
actually
don't believe
think you put
Michelle.
words in my mouth. I said we should not do it yet because you saw it like a full month after I did, and I'm not as clear on it. That's why I wanted to wait because I'm not going to go see it in the theater a second time. I got shit to do.
Well, I was trying to turn it into a thing where you were doing something kind for the audience, Michelle.
No, don't let them think I'm a good person. Then that sets me up on a pedestal. It's really difficult, living up to this hero complex that everybody just has in mind that I'm just such a good person. And no,
I'm so humble too.
Yeah, very, very humble. It's one of my best qualities. There are so many good qualities, but that is definitely top of the list. Is how humble I am.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
There was one other thing I was gonna want to bring up about this, and then I completely forgot what it was, so it must not have been terribly important. You have any big thoughts yet on what the fuck is this movie called again? Holy shit, Black Cab. Jeez. You have any other thoughts on Black Cab before we put a bow on this thing, Michelle? Any big things you wanted to talk about that we missed?
No, I ran out of things to talk about like 20 minutes ago, so I'm very glad that you still had things to talk about because I just had the summary and then nothing else of any help to add. I will say that Nick Frost's Crazy House is finally available to rent on Amazon, so I'm probably gonna go rent that, see if that's any better, and then
what's that?
Feel better. Nick Frost. It's some sort of Russian sitcom. It's a comedy horror starring him, so it's like a comedy horror sitcom. I don't want to say too much about it, but I've been wanting to see it. Yep.
Okay.
Starring Nick Frost. Yep. It's been on my list to watch for a while, and now I'm in the mood for some Nick Frost, and I'm either going to rent that or rewatch Shaun of the Dead.
That's literally first time I've ever even heard of it, so I may have to go check that out.
I just know all the movies. We know that.
Yeah. By the way, if you want to know all the movies, Michelle, is that release schedule thing live on the website yet? I can't remember.
It is, and it's beautiful.
She's got a spreadsheet available on our website, WeWatchShudder.com.
Not even a spreadsheet, a full view from my database.
Yeah. It's just go check it out. It documents basically every fucking significant and minor and shit you never heard of horror and horror adjacent film release and series release, and you got video games and stuff on there as well, right?
Not yet, but I absolutely can add that. Now I've got more shit to add, and it is only from 2025 and beyond, so anything that does not have a release date. Yep, it starts next year because, God, I could not go back in time and add the 2024s. If there is a horror adjacent, or thriller movie, it's on here. Even if it's very, very minimally towing the line of what is considered a horror, fuck it, it's on my table.
Right on.
Because I keep one of these for myself, so I may as well let everybody else see it too.
Yeah. Also, I don't remember if I've even mentioned it here on the show yet, but we announced a little while ago that Michelle and I are going to be producing a film festival coming up next summer in June. Just a one-day event. We're going to start small and see how it goes. We are going to run all day. Planning to do about 11 or 12 hours worth of basically non-stop screenings that day, features and short films. It's called the Darkest Day of Horror Festival. We got a website for that as well. It's very, very basic, bare bones right now, ddhff.com. Darkest Day of Horror Film Festival, ddhff.com. Right now, there's just an image with the basic details and a place where you can sign up to get email updates when we start sending those out, which will likely be after the 1st of January. If you're a filmmaker and you happen to be listening, we're going to start accepting submissions through Film Freeway after the 1st of the year. So maybe if you're signed up for that, awesome. If you're not signed up for that, maybe get that all taken care of. But also, I bring it up specifically because our good friend Faye, you know Faye, don't you? I say our good friend, but
I know of Faye. I don't know if I've ever actually met Faye.
Oh, well, Faye's fantastic. Faye reminded me, because I don't know how the fuck I didn't see it right away. The festival is happening in June, June 21st, as the whole day, the longest day of the year will be the darkest day of horror Fargo has ever known. Fuck, I'm clever, Michelle. I'm so fucking clever. How did nobody ever anywhere in the world create a darkest day or darkest days of horror film festival or even darkest days of horror convention? I couldn't find a single one. I was shocked. Anyway, it's happening during Pride Month. So we've decided that it was always our intention to make our selections as diverse as possible, but we're actually going to buckle down and we're going to make an entire portion of the festival. We're going to do a full like Pride showcase of short films from LGBTQ plus filmmakers. We've already got one feature booked from a debut or for a first time feature filmmaker who is a trans filmmaker. We're very proud to be able to bring their first feature film as part of things. You'll get details on exactly who and what that is again in the coming year. But super excited about it, and I'm especially reinvigorated again after a lot of what's recently happened, and how a lot of people who are very, very near and dear to both Michelle and I are about to have some of the most difficult times in a life that has no doubt already been far more difficult than I myself could ever imagine. And so that's fucking awesome. Go to the website, ddhff.com, sign up for the newsletter, follow it. I'm going to get a Facebook page and an Instagram put together eventually, and probably a little bit closer to the 1st of the year. But holy shit, that came out of nowhere. But do you think that was, did I cover everything I needed to cover, Michelle? I don't know.
You didn't tell him it's my birthday weekend.
Oh, is it your birthday weekend?
It is my birthday weekend. So
I'm
I
sorry.
demand cake. I demand cake.
We'll get you some
a black
cake.
We
A
could
black
get really
cake?
dark days of horror cake.
Just like sickeningly black. Like, are you a chocolate cake person, or do we just need
I'm
to
not
get
a
a weird
chocolate
flavor
cake.
and dye it black?
We need vanilla and then diet black.
Okay, dye 'em black. Black number one.
Yes.
Typo negative.
I want
you know
my
that
mouth
band?
totally dyed in a way that is very inconvenient for the rest of the day.
That's fair. That's very fair. So I don't have anything else to talk about. Do you?
I hope you enjoyed the 10 minutes that we actually spent talking about Black Cab, everybody. I hope you did not come here expecting in-depth analysis of it.
Our
and
show,
that what we did provide was good.
Our show sure has evolved, has it not, Michelle?
It might have devolved at some points, but it's definitely changing.
That's very fair. Come back next week. There's another movie we're going to talk about. We actually don't even know for sure what it is yet because Shudder doesn't have a new drop next week and we haven't picked a new movie. Oh, we've also got, we're still going to do that bonus episode next week, aren't we, Michelle?
Yes. Is that what's on the spreadsheet? Yeah, the one from the 70s. Okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've told me, but I have a memory,
So,
a memory issue.
As long as I thought of it and we're talking about it, we've been doing these like holiday themed horror movies all year long, And I was looking, I didn't want to do a Thanksgiving one in November. That seemed too obvious. And then I was like, Memorial Day is in November. What could we do that sort of plays off Memorial Day? And then I was thinking, at first I was like, oh, House. We could do House. That has a tie-in. Some of you know. If you haven't, you don't know. But that's all I'll say. It has a tie-in there that would work. And I was like, oh, no, maybe we should get something a little bit more serious and a little bit more critically respected. Like, let's do Altered States, right? And then I was like, maybe we shouldn't do a Memorial Day thing at all. But as it turns out, Memorial Day is also, it's some sort of holiday relating to wishes. And I was like, oh, let's do the Wishmaster. That might work. And then it hit me like a bolt from the blue. A film I have known about for a long time, but have actually never seen, and finally found a reason to push it to the top. It's from 1974. Is that correct, Michelle?
That is correct.
1974, because it involves both Memorial Day related things and wishes. We will be seeing Death Dream. That's a metal as fuck title.
I've never heard of this movie. You just tell me when I need to record shit, and then I wind up watching it like 2 hours ahead of time, and I go, okay, cool.
Well, Memorial Day is Sunday, so we should probably record it tomorrow.
I guess. Is this also called Dead of Night? Because I'm not finding an IMDb page for a death.
I believe it is, yes.
Okay.
Here's what you do. Go look for Bob Clark, who made Black Christmas.
That is this one.
It's the same guy, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Death Dream, a.k.a. Dead of Night. I think it's available on Tubi as Death Dream.
It is on Tubi, Prime, AMC Plus.
Yeah.
I have all of those. I have all.
Right.
I even have a Mubi temporarily because I had to rewatch The Substance, and now I do not need a Mubi ever again.
Hey, there's another thing I'll mention here as long as it came up, guys. The Substance is now available on Mubi, and you can get a 7-day free trial to Mubi. I'm not gonna you do what you will with that information. 7-day free trial to Mubi. One of the very best fucking horror movies of the year and in a long, long time. Maybe, I don't know, maybe go fucking see it.
0 squelching subtitles, and that did drop.
I was shocked, Michelle.
I know. There's that should have been the
squelchiest
movie.
It is. The movie squelches hard, and that makes me wonder who did the goddamn subtitles for it, that there's not a single squelch made it into those subtitles.
I am wondering if they decided just not to do sound effects for that very reason. They're like, the entire movie would just be squelching.
Maybe. They said, look, Michelle is already way too invested in the Margaret qualiness of this film.
Oh,
if there are squelching subtitles, in addition to all the butts, in addition to all the Margaret qualiness, it may in fact just melt her goddamn brain.
I would love that though. If I'm gonna
you
get
would love it if your brain melted.
Yeah, and as long as it made a nice squelching sound when I did it.
Well, that's fair. I do also think it's fair though that the average person would not assume you would like to have your brain melted.
I feel like my brain has melted because we somehow are an hour and 4 minutes into this, and my brain stopped functioning like a good half hour ago. I'm so tired.
Guys, this has been a real weird one because it's been a real weird week. Hit us up on all the social medias and let us know what you thought of this episode. Say goodnight, Michelle.
Don't let us know what you thought of this. Good night, Michelle.
For more horror content, visit WeWatchShudder.com, where you'll find our world-famous, patent-pending Ghoul blog and Squelch files, as well as a schedule of upcoming episodes. Find us on social media at WeWatchShudder on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I guess Twitter, if you're still doing that for whatever reason. You can email us. mail@WeWatchShudder.com is the address. mail@WeWatchShudder.com. You can even call and leave us a voicemail, 701-566-9510. No, really. 701-566-9510. Give it a shot. See what happens. We Watch Shudder is a production of Rat Factory Media.